Hello, Thrivers. Heather here, coming to you with our Increased Understanding and Open Communication live training. I just want to do a bit of a warm up here with you guys. I want to shake things up a little bit. I want to do something a little different than what we normally do before I go into the deeper nitty gritty meat and potatoes of our training. I just want to check in with you guys and hear from you. What are your questions about communication with your spouse? What are some of the challenges that you're facing right now? I want this to be a dialogue, not a monologue. So I'm watching the chat and I can see you guys. So go ahead and let me know what you're thinking. What are your challenges? And I guess I'll put this in here to start. How would you describe your communication? I've got a couple screens on here right now currently. Let's see if that works. Yes. All right. Awesome. High thrive. So cheesy, but we love saying that. All right. So how would you describe your communication currently with your spouse? If you were to pick one or two words, how would you describe it? I know that we pulled the group last week, and I was asking what kind of training you would like, what kind of a new life course would you like to be able to get you going with your relationship. And the number one choice was communication. And communication, I often think of it, it's like this bridge that we have to establish between us and our spouse. It's like we're both on opposite ends of a canyon and there's this huge chasm between us, and communication is what we need to have. It's the bridge that we need to have to be able to cross over to our spouse. But what happens when things are very strained in the relationship? What happens when you have a spouse that is pushing for divorce specifically, or they are pushing for separation? They're checked out, they're closed off. How do you open up that communication? How do you bridge that gap? All right, I say sketchy. At times he's talkative, other times quiet and withdrawn. Is this normal? Yeah, so I really appreciate that. This is probably it sounds to me like evidence of the teeter-totter effect. And I talked about that last week when I did just the Ask Me Anything kind of live stream. We went in deep with Tina's relationship and that she was in that same kind of a situation where there's this, I want to be close to you, I want to open up to you, but then I get scared and I immediately withdraw. And it's kind of that back and forth mode, which is actually a huge sign of hope for you if you can reframe it that way. That what we've seen after working with thousands of couples is that this is a huge opportunity that you have to be able to open the door and to be able to fully help them to commit to seeing what it really is. Not commit to the marriage. It's not what I mean. That would be pushy. But you have the opportunity to encourage them to work on things and the opportunity to increase positive interactions so that that teeter-totter effect goes in your favor. So if that makes sense, communication is superficial. Hello, everyone joining. Welcome, welcome. All right. Dealing with respectfulness, I set a boundary. He's just disrespectful and ugly. I don't engage. And because it's been in person, he can't come over until there is respectfulness and an apology. Mark helped me set these. Yes, he did. Because of this, I have to uphold these and not communicate a lot to show I respect myself and my word. Okay, so this is a little bit different of a phase that's going on right now because the communication hasn't been respectful or healthy. And so she had to put in a healthy boundary here. And this is a powerful form of communication. And I want you to see it that way, that even the lack of communication in this instance is actually communicating a very powerful message. And it is communication, right? It's not verbal communication, but setting a healthy boundary and enforcing it communicates powerful messages, especially in this instance with our spouse. In this case, it's communicating respect. It's communicating what's appropriate behavior and what's not. It's communicating how we will communicate with each other, right? It's communicating a lot of things. So even if there isn't, oh my goodness, I need to plug in my laptop. Sorry, guys. I've been going today, and now it's like, your Mac will sleep unless it's soon plugged in. So I don't want to lose y'all. All right. Come on, juices. There we go. I feel like me when I was doing my bone broth fast last week, running out of energy. All right. Seems as if he's wanting to be around me more lately. He doesn't understand anything I have to say. He says he wants to be friends, but is only nice if he's getting his way. Otherwise, he shuts down. After I told my husband that I will not fight him or put up with him trying to fight me, I hung up. Is that okay? So again, here is another element of a healthy boundary. Hanging up on someone sends a powerful message. There might be a better way to frame that so that they understand what the healthy expectation is and the healthy boundary is. So that's something that we can talk about. All right. So, whew, you guys are awesome. Good job. Thank you for communicating that with me and letting me know where you are at right now. I heard a lot of you are talking about how it's closed off, shut down. He doesn't understand anything I have to say. It's superficial. So let's go into this, okay? I'm going to go over here to my beautiful slides. There we go. Can you all see those okay? Increase understanding and open communication. That's what we are going to go deep into today. So if you can see that okay, let me know. I can still see your comments just fine. All right, same as Sarah. Unless he gets his way, he shuts down or makes me feel like I'm being unfair. All right, so let's get into this. So that's where you're at right now. Let's talk about where do you want to be? If that's where you're at right now, that maybe communication is superficial, it's tense, where do you really want your communication to be? What would that look like? How good would that feel? What kind of conversations would you have? Honestly, like if you could talk about anything right now with your spouse, what would that be? How good would that feel to know that you had safety and respect and understanding between you? What would you want to talk about just for fun? What would you want to laugh about? Where would you want to go to talk? Would you like to go on a walk? Do you like to cuddle on the couch? Do you like to lay in bed and pillow talk? Do you like to go on long drives together? What is your favorite way of communicating? All right, some comments here. Work together. That would feel great. Awesome. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. And I really want you to encourage to stick to the end. Oh, my little baby just came in here. You want to have her watch this? You guys can't see what I'm doing, but my little baby's a little upset. Let's go see if she wants to watch that. Thank you. All right, so I really want you to stick to the end here. I know this is live. If you can't watch it all live, that's fine. Go ahead and watch the replay. But I'm going to give you guys a special gift at the end, and I really don't want you to miss out on this. It's going to be really very, very powerful for you. So let's stick to the end here. Let's do the full training, get the full picture so that you can get all the pieces that you need to bring you to that place, right? Where you want to go talking about a vacation. Yeah. Awesome. And just having that communication, walking, cuddling, beautiful. All right, let's dive into this. So what we want to do is increase understanding and open communication. Just like what you guys are talking about, even if you're barely talking right now, even if they are closed off, feels like you are talking to a wall. I laugh sometimes with my pre-teenager boys because I say, okay, boys, I'm not talking to the wall. I am actually trying to talk with you, right? And so, you know, this works in all those different types of situations, even if they're resistant to talking about the marriage, especially when they're pushing for divorce. And they don't want to talk about working on us. They don't want to talk about the problems in the marriage. They don't want to talk about why they're leaving. They don't want to open up to you. They definitely aren't going to be responding to demands or manipulation or desperation as you're saying, look, you made a vow to me. You made a commitment to me. You need to work on this marriage. And you need to do this for the kids or anything like that. We know what's that going to do? It's only going to push them further away, right? So even if it's uncomfortable, it's tense. There's things that you're afraid to talk about, things that they're uncomfortable talking about. And you can just feel that tension between you, right? Even if they're cold, or you can only talk about the surface level stuff. You know, like the business level stuff, the business of running a household, the kids, you know, the house, kind of those surface level things. So even if that's where you're at right now, let's go into how we can open up that communication. And the first step is to give understanding. And I know a lot of you have been with us for a while, but some of you are really new, and some of you just like joined within a couple hours ago. So welcome. But this is a really crucial thing that we need to understand, is to increase understanding first. And when we show understanding in a way that has a detachment from the outcome, it allows our spouse to feel safe talking with us. I'll give an example of what this really looks like, and then how, after we establish this milestone with our spouse, this will allow them to open up, okay? So I was just talking with my really good friend, as you guys know, if you've been following me for the last couple of weeks here, that they're in the process of divorce. And my friend specifically is the one that wants the divorce. And my husband's friend, they're both friends with us, right? Is the one that wants to work on the relationship. And it's so natural to get into the desperation mode, into the fear, into the panic, into, honestly, I'm going to call it the me monster. Why is this happening to me? How could you leave me? How could, you say you don't want to be with me? How come you say you're not in love with me? Right? And what am I going to do? How am I going to stop this? This hurts me. I am in so much pain. I want to get you back so that it's not hurting me anymore. Okay. And it's easy and very normal and natural to instantly get into the fight, flight, or freeze response. And we become, when we're in that response, it's easy to do several mistakes, like the desperation, right? The desperate attempts, the pleading, I just want this to work so much. Please, I'll do anything, right? Just absolute desperation, panic mode, right? Or that we withdraw ourselves because we're afraid. So we want to distance ourselves. And then our spouse senses that we are even more distant. And so they think, well, then we're both not wanting to work on this. And so it makes the whole situation even more complicated and even more challenging, right? Or it leads us into the fight response, when then we could start getting really angry and lashing out and trying to make them feel the pain that we feel. Okay, these are the most common responses that happen. And so if you're in that right now, know that it's okay. You are where you are, but acknowledge what it really is. Bring the awareness of, where is my energy really at? What is my focus really on? Is it on understanding them, or is it on my own pain, my own fear, my own anger, my own hurt? One of the most powerful things that Mark and I do in our programs is teaching you emotional processing techniques, because, like I said, these responses are very normal and natural. However, we can't stay there. And if we bring that, well, we can, but not good things, good things don't happen if we stay there. And if we bring that kind of energy to our spouse in our communications, what happens? Is it effective for getting them back? Or does it have the opposite effect, right? It absolutely pushes them further away. So imagine that you're in the room with someone and they are tense. They are angry. They are scared. They are desperate. And they come at you and they say, I need to work on us. We need to talk about this. You need to talk to me about this. Why don't you talk to me? What is our response? What does our instinct say? It says that we need to distance ourselves, right? That we need to back up and get some space so that we feel safe. Now, contrast that with, imagine you're in the room with someone and they are calm. They are centered in themselves. They have no expectation about an outcome or trying to get anything from us. And they say, I would really love to understand you. I care a lot about you, and I just want to understand where you're coming from. I want to really become a better version of myself. And I'm recognizing that I've made some mistakes and that I haven't really understood you very well in the past. So I'd really appreciate understanding you. Could you share with me what this means to you? Could you share with me, when you say that you want this, what does that mean? What does that look like for you? Okay, because there is an energetic shift that takes place when you shift from desperation to a state of ease, from pleading to a state of detachment. All right, where you're like, I'm actually okay regardless of the outcome here. Regardless of if we have a divorce, regardless of if you leave me for this other person, regardless of whether I get you back, whether you're home with me with the kids, whether this marriage ends or not, I am going to be okay. And that I release the outcome. Doesn't mean that it's not something that we still want, but we recognize that outside external circumstances do not lead us to peace and joy, happiness. Those things, peace, joy, security, fulfillment, serenity, those are found within us, only within us. And so when we detach from wanting to make it work, wanting to get them back, wanting to have them communicate with us, right, which we do not have control over, and we get to a state of, I'm okay, and I am where I am, and I am centered and calm within myself. And now I can open up my heart and my mind because I want to understand you. I want to become a better version of myself. And when you approach your spouse in that manner, what do you think happens? Exactly. I love the examples. Yes, absolutely. And the work, I'm proof. Heather and Mark have really helped me, my mindset, myself, and my worth. Awesome. So what happens is that our spouse senses that shift in our energy. When we go from fear and desperation and anger, then they sense that now we're in a new place. They sense that calmness in us. They sense the detachment that we now have. And what happens? They open up because we are coming from a different state, a different emotional place. I love that. I can't keep up with the listening notes. All right, that's fine. This will be live and the replay will be up in a little bit. I love that. That's awesome. You are a great student. All right. And so I'm saying this because I know when you're in the heart of it, and I've been in the heart of it in these really challenging, difficult, heart-wrenching moments, the overwhelm, the confusion that you feel, okay, that you can't always see the bigger perspective of what's happening. And Mark and I, having, coached so many couples now and seen this process, that I can say with absolute certainty, this is what it looks like, that when you can make this kind of an internal shift, there's a couple important things that happen. First and foremost, the very most important thing is you find your own power. You find your own calmness. You find your own serenity. You find your own peace. You find solutions. And you are like what my very favorite quote from Bruce Fox, one of our past clients, a graduated client, said, I am a rock of a man. No matter what happens around me, I am the calm in the storm. And it doesn't matter what happens outside of me because I have found the peace that is only within myself. And as you own that, first of all, you're going to face everything in such a new and in refreshing way. And it will no longer be exhausting. It will no longer be absolutely terrifying. It will no longer be the fear and the panic and just the absolute overwhelm, like you're being tossed about with the wind, right? It's just taking you and throwing you everywhere. It's dashing you to pieces. It gets you from that state to a state of, I can handle this. And I am strong. I am centered. I am uncovering the truth of who I really am. And I'm living incongruent with that truth. And you will be able to navigate any challenges ahead with ease and with peace and with strength. Doesn't mean that there won't be challenges, but that you will meet them with the strength of who you are, with the strength of who you truly are. Does that make sense? Hope I'm articulating this correctly. It's something that we can absolutely feel, and it's maybe a little bit harder to describe in words. All right, so that's above and beyond anything. That's the most important part of this whole thing. But when you want to know how to open up communication and increase understanding, it's going to happen. It's almost like a byproduct. It's like a symptom of the root cause being that now you are in a really calm, good, centered place with detachment from the outcome. And what happens is that the actual outcome that you wanted in the first place happens naturally. And so you're able to increase the understanding, and they are able to increase understanding for you, and they will be willing to open to and communicate with you. You are going to have conversations that you have been pleading and desperate and wishing you had for months, but you haven't had up until this point. This is what happens, okay? And like I just saw someone post, I think it was, I don't know, last week or something, about how they've had more open conversations in the last 7 days than they had for months before. And that they're actually able to talk about anything now because they got to this state that I'm talking about. All right. Does that make sense? Are you guys understanding this? Yay. Thank you, Heather. You're welcome. Love you so. Yeah. I love this so much. Computer taking notes. Awesome. Hopefully be around that safe space and support. Good. Okay, the pushing creepiness goes away. I love that. You are getting it. All right, high thrive again. Good. So again, I really want to just crystallize this, that there is an energetic shift that does take place when you shift from desperation to ease, from pleading to detachment. They will sense this and they will feel safe to open up to you. And beyond that, you will feel calm, centered, serene, and empowered. That's probably the most important thing anyone could ever say to you at this point. And so I really hope that that sinks into your heart and into your mind and into that quiet part of you that says, yes, this is truth, right? Because when I was going through my most difficult challenges, it was moments like this when someone just spoke the truth and it was exactly what I needed and I knew it. And my soul knew it and my heart knew it and my mind knew it and it made sense. And I was able to then take action on those things. Beautiful. All right. So now I want to go into some communication starters. Now that we have the foundation of what it's like to get to a place of centeredness, of calm, detachment from the outcome, so that you can have the understanding and open the communication. Communication is not something that we're taught, right? It's not something that we learn in school. It's very often modeled very incorrectly by our parents and our friends and our siblings. It's definitely modeled incorrectly on sitcoms and TV shows and movies. And so how do we learn how to communicate? Well, Mark and I found it really valuable to help give some communication starters, to show you some of the dialogue of what it looks like to be able to open up communication, to get a conversation going. But your job before you get into these communication starters is to make those energetic shifts, okay? Because that's the only way it will be effective, so that your spouse will feel safe. They'll feel like, oh, wow, I'm in the room now with someone that's not a threat to me anymore, not someone I need to distance myself from because they're in panic mode, but this is someone that's actually calm and genuinely wants to understand me. How attractive is it when someone's like, I really want to understand you? Like, we all crave understanding so much. It's one of the highest human emotional needs. We want to be understood. Why? We feel isolated. We feel alone in our own emotional roller coasters. We just want to know, does anyone get me? Do they have any idea what this is like for me? Am I alone? We often feel so alone, even when we're in a crowd of people. We feel completely alone, because we're the only one going through what we're going through. So when someone reaches out to us and says, I want to understand you, tell me more about that. What does that mean? What does that feel like for you? How do you experience that? What is valuable to you? What do you look for? What do you analyze? And they ask us these questions. That is so attractive to us because we want to be able to share with people. So when you gift that understanding to your spouse, they will naturally reciprocate. They will naturally want to open up to you, and they will be attracted to that kind of energy way more than the pushing and the desperation and the pleading, right? So I'm going to give you our golden question. This is Mark Johnston's golden question. Drum roll, you already know it. What do you mean? This question right here is the golden question because you can use it at any moment to gain understanding. And I like how Dwayne, I just did the interview with him, was it last week or the week before? My goodness, time's really weird right now. But he said that this question right here, what do you mean, also gives him a chance to kind of stall and slow down the conversation. I'm just paraphrasing his words here, but that it gave him time to think about it and time to give a space for her to think about it. It's a powerful pattern interrupter. What do you mean? Okay. Yes, exactly. Going deeper. That's exactly what it does. Great comment there. What do you mean? So when you said that you're not in love with me, what did you mean? When you said, I need to find myself, what did you mean? What does finding yourself mean to you? I just want to understand you. I realize I haven't understood you well before. I realize I've made some mistakes. I realize I've done this, and now I want to just become a better version of me, regardless of what happens in our relationship, so that I can grow and become who I want to be, so that I can develop these skills, so that I can understand you and support you in your journey because I care about you, right? Do you sense that? Do you feel that? So when you say you want to find yourself, what do you mean? What does finding yourself look like? How will you know when you found yourself? What will it look like? What will it feel like? Oh, okay. It will feel like clarity. Awesome. What does that mean to you? What does clarity mean to you? You get what I'm saying? I'm kind of role playing some different examples here, but this is such a powerful question. I really encourage you to, first of all, make that shift that we talked about earlier, and then to try this one on and ask, what do you mean? And I ask it with my children. I ask it with Mark. He's my business partner. Okay, what did you mean? Right? I'm not clear about that. What did you mean? And it just bridges that gap between us so that we can have the communication. So we have to give understanding first. Establish this milestone allows our partner to open up. Then the next phase, to future pace it, for those of you who are like, okay, well, this sounds like I'm doing all the work. Well, yes, you are. We know that you can save your marriage on your own, and you have to start first. If your spouse is pushing away, you have to be the one willing to go first. But then after this milestone is established, I want you to understand that then we can bring it into balance, and we can ask our partner for understanding as well. And that's true of anything that we're working on. But communication, understanding is always our first step. So here's some examples to show you what it looks like on the other side. So this is Daniel, just shared this with us a little while ago. Just 2 months ago, Sam and I couldn't have more than a 2-minute conversation. And every time I asked her why she was leaving or if she would just work on things, it was always a closed door. I did what you said and worked on showing understanding first. She must have sensed that because she's really opened up to me now. We've had some amazing conversations, and I feel like I'm coming to understand her more and more. This is huge for us, Daniel. So do you see there that she must have sensed this, that when he started showing understanding first, right? Instead of the, why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? Work on us, what he was doing before, which led to the closed door. He showed this understanding, and he says she must have sensed that. And it's true. They might not like articulate it in words or say, oh, I'm sensing a major shift in you. Like, no, they're not going to use that kind of language, but they will sense it subconsciously. They will sense it, and it will put them at ease. And then you'll be able to be like, Daniel, and have those amazing conversations, right? Which is so huge. All right, and here's Russ. I called Heather, not me, his wife Heather, in the middle of a busy afternoon. I remained upbeat and in the context that I was just thinking about her, but would be home late because of a board meeting. She totally engaged, no 20 questions to get a conversation out of her, and she mirrored my upbeat demeanor. After some good exchange, I quit well ahead. I love that. Said I'd see her in a couple of hours, and she pleasantly said goodbye. Here's the important part. This is 180 degrees from what I've experienced over the last few months. I may be able to concentrate a little more on work this afternoon, which has been a huge challenge recently. So, all right, over in the chat, I love that question. Awesome. Yes, it is the golden question, and it works. So put it on, try it, do an experiment yourself, see what fruit it will bear for you. And then you can be like Daniel and Russ here and be able to open up this communication, whereas you couldn't do it before, right? So with this method that I'm sharing with you here, you'll have the knowledge, the information, the tools, and everything you need to achieve reconciliation, understanding, safety, communication, even increased intimacy. That sounds so much like an ad. Sorry, sometimes when I'm writing these, I'm like trying to pull out all the best parts and the results that I know you guys want to get. But that's exactly what it does and exactly what it's designed to do, and it absolutely works. So what if it were possible to achieve those results 2 or even 3 times faster, right? The same results, but in half the time and half of the effort. Okay, I'll get to your question about addiction maybe a little bit later, just so you know. I'm going to put a pin on that. All right, and then imagine almost literally instant results, this instant opening up connection, almost instant able to process through your own emotions, get to the truth of who you are, shift that energy, pattern interrupt, with less effort on your side. By getting exactly what the missing elements are that are in your marriage, because you might have one or two of these things in place, but there's 4 really powerful pillars. And most likely, I can guarantee you that if your spouse is pushing for divorce or separation or things aren't going well, you're going to be missing some of these. And having these 24 proven communication starters, like I talked about, Mark and I found that they're very valuable in knowing how to communicate. It's like going to college and taking a class in communication. It's like, okay, this is actually the right questions to ask, and this is the way to do it, right? So we can actually learn how to do that. All right, comment here. That would be amazing. Faster, exactly. Especially if your spouse is pushing for a divorce, you're already in the divorce process, time is not on your side. So we need to move things very quickly to turn it around fast. Like I said, this method is not for everybody. And it's going to be only available for people like you who want to stop divorce fast and open up communication quickly. That hourglass is like it's flipped over on your head and the sand is pouring down on you and you're like, I do not have time. And you can sense that, and it can increase the panic and the desperation, which only will push your spouse further away and only put you into a state of stress and overwhelm and not a good place emotionally. And so what we want to do is instantly turn that around so that we can do these things quickly, but with power and with strength and with peace and with clarity. Does that make sense? All right. So what I'm about to share with you will help you reconnect and reconcile with your spouse 3 times faster. We've proven it after working with so many thousands of couples all around the world, almost immediately. So you can feel secure in your relationship again. How good would it feel to be secure in your relationship again? Here's a question. How do I get past the anger? When we talk, all right, finalize in August. Yep, you need to move quickly, my friend. All right. When we talk, that's all I get. Anger on their part or your part? We start talking and he tries to find a trigger for me. I told him I don't want to do that. Yeah. So getting past the anger. If it's anger on your part, then you need to learn some emotional processing techniques. If it's anger on his part, then we need to pattern interrupt. Okay. And we do that by, like I said earlier, increasing understanding and learning what things that you're doing that might be triggering that to spark and spread even further. So you can pattern interrupt, draw a healthy boundary and say, this is actually how it's going to be. We're not going to communicate in anger. And you can, okay, words I'm trying to articulate here. Okay. So when there's a lot of anger, they are in their fight, flight, or freeze response. And there's things that you can do immediately to pattern interrupt that. And they will be like, it's almost like someone just splashed cold water on them and it will stun them for a little bit. And they will be like, oh, wow, okay. Well, that used to work for me, this anger, and now it doesn't anymore. And so that's going to get them out of the fight, flight, or freeze response, which is the limbic system, and put them into the reasoning part of their brain. Okay. So I'd like to get more clarity on your specific question, if it's anger on your part or anger on his part, but I kind of think I addressed it on both sides, but we can talk about that a little bit more. I hope you get the kind of high level overview of what that looks like. Once you have the missing elements in your marriage and these proven communication starters, you realize 3 things. First, you do not need your spouse initially communicating well with you, okay? This is designed for the 98% of us that don't have good communication in our marriage, right? So that's not a requirement. You don't need that, right? If you did, then you wouldn't be listening to this because you already have it. And that's so it's not required. So get that out of your head. Don't let that become a stumbling block for you. You don't need overcomplicated or fakey type techniques. When I talk about communication starters and that we have 24 proven ones, it's not like you're becoming a puppeteer or a robot and you're becoming someone else that's not congruent to you. No, it's showing you how to tap into who you really are, so that you'll have control here, the third one, over making things feel safe for you and your spouse in a way that feels absolutely genuine to you. Okay. It includes over 20 hours of packed video coaching trainings. This is a bonus here that we're doing for the launch of our live divorce cure course, is we are including 20 hours of packed video coaching trainings that we've done with our premium one-on-one clients so that you can see in real time how others just like you have successfully overcome their communication challenges. So you'll say, okay, wow, here was Sandy, and her husband was also really angry, and this is exactly what she did. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad that I was able to relate to that. Or here's Bob, and his wife, Susan, is super closed off, and she's cold, and she's distant. And this is how they were coached on what to do. And you'll get that exact coaching yourself over 20 hours, showing you how other clients that have had the same challenge as you have overcome their own communication challenges. Which ensures you know exactly what the cracks are in your marriage, like what those missing elements are, and gives you plans of action for fast progress that will help you immediately set the example for your kids that you want, or your family or your friends, and build better trust. Okay. So these 24 proven communication starters, they show you exactly how to have understanding between you and your spouse, even if they don't talk to you or have trouble opening up. Like we said at the beginning, if that's where you're at, this is going to show you exactly how to increase that understanding, how to make those shifts, and how to like what the wording can be, like what it looks like, and gave you the golden question. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's 24 more that really help to increase this understanding and open up communication. Does that make sense? And it takes the guesswork out of exactly what to say and how to say it in a way that feels genuine and authentic to you. I just had my dear friend over, and we were talking about some of these conversation starters after showing, like that he needs to increase understanding. And he was taking so many notes. He was like, okay, just write it all out for me and show me exactly what I need to say and like what the exact wording needs to be. And I'm like, hey, don't worry about it. We've got it. Like, there's no guesswork here. Here is exactly what you need to do. And he was like, okay, whew, okay. Because he's like, I just don't know what to say. And I get so concerned I'm going to say or do the wrong thing that sometimes I end up doing nothing, and that actually only makes it worse. Or I do say the wrong thing and that makes it worse. So it kind of feels like a lose-lose. I'm like, that's not where you want to be. Let's absolutely make this a win-win. Here's how. And it took all the overwhelm, all the confusion, and all the fear out of it. And guess what? It's been very effective for him, and things are working out really well, just like those clients I showed you earlier. So can you imagine how will be your marriage? Oh my goodness. Sorry for the typo. How your marriage will be once you understand your partner and they understand you completely. Imagine if you're just like, you got that understanding and you're like, I know what you mean now when you say, I never loved you, or I only married you for this, or I love someone else, or whatever it is, right? And you're like, I understand what you mean now. And I understand not just the words that you're saying, I understand what's really going on beyond that. And I understand how I contributed to that. And I understand what we can do going forward. I understand how I can continue to open up conversations with you. And we can continue to build on this understanding between us. How good would that feel? It feels freaking amazing. It's the best feeling ever, right? Yeah, absolutely amazing. All right. I did that in my early days. I was so afraid to say anything. I didn't do anything. I was paralyzed with fear. Exactly. So it's shifting away from that completely to getting to this level of understanding, and how amazing will that feel? So here's my bonus gift for you for sticking with me to the end here with this training. I hope that it has been a powerful guidance and insight to you, giving you clarity in the midst of a really challenging and overwhelming time. That's my goal. And I hope that I was able to provide that for you today. And so as a bonus gift, I want to give you one last chance today, only literally with only 24 hours. So if you're watching the replay and it's tomorrow, today is, oh my goodness, what is today? March 24th? Oh my goodness, April. Yes, I knew it was April. For some reason, March was on my calendar, but it's April. I probably need to get some more sleep. All right, April 24th. So it's literally only available until midnight tonight, April 24th of 2019. If you're watching us on April 25th, I'm sorry, but the ship has sailed. So a last chance possible to join our early bird waiting list for our live divorce cure course. And those that join the list will get 2 bonus conversation starters and have the opportunity to join the live divorce cure course one day before the rest of the world. So we're launching this, doors open on the 27th of April. Thank you. And you'll be able to join on the 26th. We are capping this at 100 spots. And so it's first come, first serve. We literally have 110,000 people in our email list, people just like you that are wanting to also stop divorce and open up communication with their spouse. All right, comment here. I want that so bad, just understand each other. Exactly. So let's get you there. So I have one other thing. So I will post the link here that you can join our early bird waiting list. If that's you, if you say me, then let me know and I'll get you on that. Okay, great question. Is this different to the live path? Yes, it is. So live path is the course that we just launched at the beginning of April. And path is for those that are in the process of divorce, separation, or having marriage challenges to get their spouse back in love with them. And that is the foundation. It's a great foundation, but Divorce Cure is going specifically into those only in the divorce process. Only if your spouse saying, I want a divorce, I want out, I'm completely done. Because we've seen that this needs a very accelerated and specific approach, because the time is really not on your side, especially if papers have already been filed or you're getting really close to that divorce process. So this is kind of like the most intense training program ever, okay? It's not for the faint of heart, but if you're in this process, you know you need quick solutions fast. So PATH is more on how to reconnect with a spouse and have those really solid foundations, and they help your spouse to get back in love with you. But we recognize that we needed to take it a step further for those that were already in the divorce process for an accelerated program to get even faster results, because it's not the same when your spouse is just saying, I'm done, I'm not really in love with you, versus I am filing for divorce in August. Right? That's a very different kind of situation. It's a different level of intensity and it needs a different approach. And so we wanted to couple that with this powerful conversation and communication package so that you can get going even faster with that. Yep, me, I'm in the divorce. Exactly. You're in the process of divorce. Then that is exactly what this is for. It's a 4-week program with live coaching, live training with Mark Johnston, our international marriage expert, just like Path, where he's on there with you. He's answering your questions. He's making sure that everything is crystal clear, understood, and you get the right solutions in order to solve problems quickly. And you also have the coaching check-in calls and the unlimited email support. Okay, so now I'm going off a little bit more than I wanted to on that, but what I really wanted to encourage you guys to do is just join the waiting list so that you have the opportunity to get in before we shut the doors, because we are going to cap it at 100 since we only have so many spots open for this. Okay. All right. Me, that's exactly what I need more of. Awesome. So if you join the list today, or if you've actually already joined, I've got your back, then I'll also gift you a bonus entry into our $6,000 raffle when you join the course. And that's going to be fabulous. And I want to make it even better. You guys want it even better? You guys want a bonus right now? You guys want something awesome right now? All right. I was thinking about this and actually praying about it, and I really felt strongly like I needed to do this. So those that join the list today and those that have joined the list on the last several days, I'm going to give you our 7 conversation starters guide. It's the first 7 conversation starters. It's a complete guide that Mark Johnston put together showing what they are. So those that join the course get 24, but I'm just going to give these to everyone who joins the early bird list today. And I will get you the 7 conversation starters. I will email them immediately to you. Well, give me like 10 minutes and I'll email them to you. And then you can have those powerful conversation starters. Sound good? All right. So if you want that, say yes, me, early bird, whatever you want to say there. And again, I will post the link. I'll pin it to this video so that you can join right away as a bonus gift. So tomorrow, that was a lot, right? Tomorrow, I'm going to do a live training about how to uncover what your spouse's reasons for leaving are. So I really want to make sure that you join me live tomorrow here in the Thriving Marriage, same time, 2 p.m. Central. And I want to make sure that you don't make the same mistake 95% of people in the divorce process make. So keep your eye out for that. All right. Well, I appreciate you all. I am going to come back over here. There we go. I think it's working. I don't know if you can see me. It looks like my video turned off. Well, okay, weird tech stuff, but I want you to know that I appreciate you. And again, go back and think about the shift that needs to be made from the fear, the desperation, the anger, the pleading, getting into a state of centeredness and calmness, and how your spouse will feel that. And that will allow them to feel safe to open up with you so that you can increase communication in your marriage. All right, my heart, my love, my appreciation, it goes out to you. I honor you. And I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow. And I will see you in the early bird waiting list. And I will send you those 7 conversation starters in 10 minutes. All right.